So we know that at the end of Legion, we're going to be moving from a position where we have our artifact weapons to ones where we don't. So we're not getting benefit from them in the Battle for Azeroth content. And lots of people have been asking me what I think Blizzard are going to do about it. And so I said, there's so many people asking in various different places that I would do a video on it. I would just do a video on it and put it out there. Now, I think it's fairly obvious. I don't think there's too many ways you can do this satisfactorily, so I don't think it's any great insight here, but I'll go through it anyway. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about here, I'm not talking about from a storyline point of view. From a storyline point of view, there are certain things we sort of know, that stuff that's been data mined, but of course it's not in the game yet. It would be very much as a spoiler territory. That's not what this is about. It's how you handle the gameplay. So let's just go through the logical ladder, and where we're starting from is a position where at the moment we have artifact weapons. Those artifact weapons are, first of all, our source of weapons. There are some other sources of weapons. You can, especially increasingly as the expansion's gone on, Argus, various bosses like those raid bosses can drop weapons. You can get Tashalak off Agrimar, you've got the Scythe from Argus, things like that. So there's ways to get weapons, but our artifact weapon is still going to be the highest item level. But it comes with it a load of traits. Now, most of those traits buff the hell out of our baseline abilities. But also, there's about 6, 7, maybe more with some specs, completely new abilities. Some of which are active, or usually about one of which is active. The rest of them are passive. It's almost like passive talents. Those were our extra talents for Legion. Now, for Battle for Azeroth, we obviously can't have those anymore. Some of them may not even exist in the game. And remember, it's not when Battle for Azeroth launches that these abilities become redundant. When the pre-expansion patch comes out, that's when it happens. So it's fairly obvious. One, we need to keep our weapon. They can't just take our weapon off us and like send us one in the mail, because, well, what if we lose it? There's no ready source of them. Or just destroy it in a fit of pique or something like that. So no, I think it's fairly obvious that we're going to keep our artifact weapons, and we're still going to be leveling up with our artifact weapons to a certain extent. But those traits have to disappear. So I think it's going to be as simple as this. When the pre-expansion patch comes out, when it's still Legion, we're still going to be running Antorus, we're still going to be getting relics dropping, which may be an upgrade for us. We're still going to be using our artifact weapons, but our artifact weapons are going to be drained of all the traits, bar possibly the concordance traits, because artifact power is still going to be in the game, you would think. So I think what's going to happen is that all of our traits that are not concordance are going to be funneled into concordance. And here's why. Before 7.3.5 came out, it was data mined that concordance would be going up to 100 ranks. Now, this seemed a bit strange because it's at the moment the cap on concordance is 50. It's not possible to attain that. You cannot get 50 points in your concordance because of this exponentially increasing amount of artifact power required to get it. If you were to play Legion for the next year, you would not get this many, even if you played constantly. And of course, Legion's not even going to be out in a year's time. So why 100? Well, the only logical conclusion at the time really was, are they going to be put... Because at the time we were still thinking in terms of another raid, which is still not impossible, but it's much less likely with each passing few weeks. And are they just going to buff our artifact weapons again? Are they going to give us more artifact knowledge so that we can farm more? That would be disappointed. But no, there's actually a much more obvious answer now. And that is that all that's going to happen with the pre-expansion patch, some event will happen, and all of those traits will load into concordance. So there's lots of traits that we've got that are not concordance. So that's why the cap's being increased. So we're just going to suddenly get only concordance on that artifact weapon. That's the only trait that's going to exist. Just that one. All the rest are drained. Because with that pre-expansion patch is also going to come all the Battle for Azeroth abilities. All of those Battle for Azeroth abilities. We're going to be playing in the... It's basically our month to practice our new classes and specs, basically, with the Battle for Azeroth abilities and talents. And we cannot have the artifact traits mucking about with that. So they're gone. But we're going to have more concordance. Simple as that. So that when Battle for Azeroth launches, we're still going to have our artifact weapons. If it's at a decent item level, you're not even going to replace it with the early quest rewards. You're going to be using that potentially right up to very, very close to level cap, if not actually level cap. And it still means that during that final month, if you get relics that are an upgrade, you can still slot them, because relics will still be a thing to increase the item level of your weapon. There'll be no traits on them. You know, you would think the Netherlight Crucible at that point becomes useless because there will be no traits. But maybe you could use the Netherlight Crucible still to give you the +5 item levels. But at the very least, those relics will exist for the item level. So that's what I think is going to happen to the artifact weapons. I cannot realistically see anything else that Blizzard would sensibly do. But if you can think of something that I haven't considered, of course, put it in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe if it's the first time to my channel, share with other people who might also be interested, and until next time, I'll see you later.